Hello, it's Bill Bones and Psychonauts 2 Story Explained.
It's been 16 years between two games and my videos.
Do you feel old yet?
It's about time to show some signs of activity, so take your pills and enjoy the video.
At the end of the first game, Psychonauts flew away to save the father of Lili, who is also a head of the Psychonauts, Truman Zanotto. They found him stolen by Dr. Caligosto Loboto, who survived after falling in water. Although Psychonauts kicked the ass of Loboto again, they decided to dive into the doctor's head and find out who he is working with, because he couldn't do it alone. It wasn't an easy task as Loboto lives in the 3rd century, so he installed a chip protecting his brain against invasions of psychics. However, Sasha 9 lives in the 4th century and he finds a way to enter Loboto's brain. That's where the journey begins. Finally, Raz is working as a psychonaut, but it's not so adventurous as he thought it will be. He and Lili are going to the work meeting, where Sasha and Mila congratulate psychic agents for excellent results. There, the best employee, Dr. Caligosto Loboto, wins a ticket to a tropical vacation. The only thing Loboto needs is to get the ticket signed by his employer, boss or supervillain. By this trick, Psychonauts are trying to reach deep thoughts of Loboto and find the mastermind. However, Loboto feels that something goes wrong and starts running away from Raz. Since now, Loboto's psyche becomes a training ground for us. He learns the basics of life, revising telekinesis, pyromancy, get punches in the face mancy, psyblast and other useful stuff. By the way, from the memory vaults and Rhombus of Ruin mission, Psychonauts have found out that Caligosto has been a very powerful psychic since his childhood. He was born in the family of a qualified doctor and a mother, and was so powerful that he could bend spoons and scare his parents to the point that they sent him to the father's clinic to run tests on him. During the experiments they wanted to go further, eventually performing lobotomy. That's what drove Caligosto completely crazy. The last words he remembered from his parents before they sent him to the asylum is that he is a devil child and a little monster. However, there is something good in him, that something is capable of remorse, and it's afraid of the creature Loboto has become. Eventually Raz finds the tower where Loboto used to work. Mr. Doctor is repeating some spell about putting the egg in the box in the ocean, or something like that. I'm not sure about it because he isn't. When he tries to repeat the spell one more time, the shadow appears to remind him about it. The dark figure also insists on keeping his secret. Otherwise, Caligosto will meet with her.
Oh, please!
Razputin wakes up on the plane surrounded by Psychonauts, unconscious Truman Zanotto, Lili and Caligosto. Raz tells about his discoveries, and Sasha shows the picture of Maligula, an unthinkable psychic who damaged Fort Crawler's mind and killed hundreds of her countrymen. However, Coach Oleander says this woman is dead for 20 years. Sasha thinks there might be a little chance of her resurrection by delusionaries, the cult of people who are trying to resurrect Maligula using necromancy. Mila thinks they cannot do it alone, and there is a mole in the Psychonauts. Arriving in the Mother Lobe, or the Psychonauts HQ, the group is met by Hollis Forsyth, lesser head of Psychonauts. She gives Raz the badge of an intern, despite the fact Ford granted Raz the badge of a real Psychonaut agent. Hollis claims that Ford lost his mind, and he is unable to make the right decisions. Damn, she's so negative. Also, she gives a task to Raz to attend the orientation lesson and find his new coordinator. Look at this magnificent place, inhabited by psychics, professionals who are flying, standing, fighting with depression and saving the world. Amazing. Later at the orientation class, Raz is going to meet his new classmates, Gidzu, Sam, Lizzie, Adam, Morris and Norma. They seem to be quite nice kids, even suggest giving Raz new special agent's clothes.
Just hurry up, okay? It's cold in here and I'm practically naked. Uh-oh. Guys?
Oh wait, well they're total ass. They stole Razputin's clothes and now he's closed in the storage room. Every door around is closed, but one of them needs the password, so Raz needs to find a way to get it. Looking and running around doesn't give anything actually, but thanks a lot on the last mission of saving Truman Zanotto, Psychonauts found a rat, Harold, which is willing to help. Harold even knows where the password is. in the vent shaft. Despite the fact Raz is exactly the right size to get it, a player needs to try an ability of clairvoyance. It allows seeing what others can see. So with the help of Ratatouille, Raz sees the code. Through the door, he gets in the shaft and gets inside Sasha's lab. Razputin is sneaking behind a column and sees Sasha and another psychonaut, Otto Mentalis. They are investigating Dr. Loboto's brain. Accidentally, Raz loses his balance and gets revealed by agents. Sasha sees that Raz was watching them while being almost naked and gives him his old clothes. Nonetheless, they fit very well. Otto and Sasha are going back to business and recommend Raz to visit his class as fast as he can. In the hall, Raz meets Norma again and asks for clothes back. Instead, she offers Raz a deal to find some collectibles inside and out the mother lobe in exchange for his stuff. I hope she will return them clean. Anyway, I have no choice and go to Hollis's office because she said so. She assigns Nick Johnsmith, the mailman, as a mentor of Raz. So the first mission will be sorting mail in the mailroom where Nick is working. Maybe I will find some money in the mail. No, I won't. But instead I found a guy in the box. That's even more expensive. Unfortunately, this guy is Nick Johnsmith himself, and he is also brainless, so that halves the price. Come on. Everybody around are coming one by one to find out what happened. They cannot tell what happened exactly, but Raz finds a key in hands of Nick. It belongs to a suite in Lady Octopus Casino. Also, the mailbox was supposed to be delivered to Truman Zanotto, who still shows no signs of activity. He is alive, but vegetable. Hollis mentions that the agent who was sent to the casino is missing for 2 days. That's why there they can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Sasha and Mila take a jet to investigate what's going on out there. Raz is trying to join them, but Hollis stops him, reminding him about visiting the lesson. I go to the classroom to finally learn something new after I graduated university years ago.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Hollis prepared journey inside her mind, where she teaches children how to use mental connections. She explains that these mental connections allow Psychonauts to change ideas, thoughts and even life goals. Fortunately, Raz is late for the lesson, and he skipped the most of information. He asks to repeat it, but Hollis is very busy. I suppose standing at one place is a very difficult mental work. Leaving her mind, she asks Norma to explain everything to Raz once again. Norma does it so successfully that Raz had learned the ability before she said it, and he is showing off as he used to. However, nobody gets it and asks him what he is doing. Raz is ashamed, but smart, because he already knows how these mental connections function. Everybody is surprised and proposes Raz to try it. He used his mental powers and managed to connect 2 ideas. And all children look shocked. What did they expect to happen? The lesson is called Mental Connections. However, they realize that Raz can change Hollis' thoughts regarding taking children to the mission of the casino. Jumping here and there, Raz got inside Hollis' thinking process. That's why she was busy. In fact, deeper in her mind, she decided to recall the hospital she used to work in. Raz found the memory vault and saw that back then, Hollis was an intern in the hospital. She created a new method of treatment, but her boss arrogated it. After that, Raz finds Hollis deeper in her sanctuary. There are a few major problems connected with financing of the Psychonauts in her head. She puts the thoughts aside, overthinking education of children. She agrees that mission of the casino might be a great experience for children. On the other hand, if something happens with them, she will take it to her grave, and the following lawsuit will dig it out for her, bankrupting the Psychonauts. Raz, seeing that, decides to change her mind, proving that it's worth the risk, especially the risk connected with money. That mental connection released many unneeded ideas, releasing the creature inside Hollis' head. Don't worry, it's not a brain attack. One by one, children are waking up, seeing that Hollis has been changed completely. She became a little bit risky and completely mad. Finally, she is a normal person. Congratulations. She takes the children to the jet with Sasha and Mila, and after the transition, they arrive at the casino. The place looks amazing. Unfortunately, from motives of saving time, I show you only the most important events, yet I recommend you play this game and see it yourself. Sasha and Mila go straight to the field while Hollis is observing. She gives Raz a task to get back in the jet and find her dowsing goggles, whatever it is. When he tries to find it, he sees that Hollis is leaving the place for an unknown reason. Raz cannot stop her as she disappears inside the elevator. He comes back to the room and sees on the screen that Sasha and Mila are asking for help. Without Hollis, they cannot cooperate due to anti-psychic cameras flying everywhere, and only Hollis could track them. And my game froze.
While it's loading, I want to say that I'm surprised that you are still alive listening to this. Are you? Thank you and accept my sympathies.
Raz gets a new mission, to find Hollis. He finds her in the cart. Turns out her new idea is to play in the casino and win extra money for the Psychonauts. Razputin uses telekinesis to levitate the door to enter Hollis's head and fix everything. You see, when Raz changed the whole agent's psyche, her subconscious started driving full speed to madness and therefore poverty. She used to rely on science and statistics. Now inside her head everything is a gamble. There is no such thing as a rational approach, but only luck and roulette. Also, one memory vault shows the past of Forsyth. When she realized that her idea was stolen by the boss, she used her psychic abilities to get her work back and mixed up thoughts of her employer, completely driving him crazy. He ended up in a clinic, but later was saved by Truman, and Hollis was invited to the Psychonauts. Restoring the mind, Raz meets his classmates who want to help. The only problem is that a big tentacle stealing them one by one without Raz noticing. He stabilized the connections, and Hollis led him deeper into her sanctuary. There he is trying to convince Forsyth that playing games is not a good idea. But the octopus created by Raz doesn't think so. The inner demon not only rules all emotions of Hollis, but also captured the kids and turned them into cards. Raz fights her and saves the classmates, but Norma still doesn't want to give clothes back a little piece of shit. After the battle, Agent Forsyth becomes normal. Yet she isn't furious because Raz of being reckless, but because he repeated her mistakes. She explains to him that the Psychonauts don't create new inner demons, but fight the ones people already have. The lesson is finished. Agent Forsyth and all children are turning back into the real world. Turns out Sasha and Mila still need help, so Hollis sends children to back up the agents. Razputin takes a ride on neon railings while all the other children are helping him to reach the destination point, demonstrating their superpowers. Morris creates trampolines, Adam uses his yo-yo to throw Razputin out of the window, I don't need help with that. Lizzie creates an ice ramp to repair a broken road, Norma doesn't give clothes back and uses pyromancy to break chains. Gidzu is flexing on the skateboard and distracting me, Sam summons the whale to spray Razputin up the balcony. Now when Razputin has a broken spine and distrust of people, he is ready to save the day. The elevator goes up the room Nick John Smith's key belongs to. Inside there is a lot of caviar and total mess. Behind the painting on the wall, he finds a secret passage with pictures of all the Psychonauts on them. There are eyes on the walls and Maligula's name everywhere. He finds a machinery room with scraps of newspapers on the wall. According to them, once there was a country, Grulovia, where Maligula started a war, making citizens and the royal family flee. The Psychonauts came to help and killed Maligula. However, later her body was stolen from the grave. On the table, Razputin sees books of necromancy and how to resurrect dead people easily. There is one more thing Raz spots on the wall, a profile of Lili Zanotto and how to turn her to the dark side. Raz keeps it secret because of two things. Firstly, he wants to protect Lili, and secondly, he wants to discuss it with her later. He loves her after all. After such sentences, usually disasters happen. In the plane, the Psychonauts are guessing who a double agent might be. Nobody has an answer, but Hollis is sure Nick John Smith is connected with all of this somehow. Agents come back to the Mother Lobe. I take my time running around, leveling up skills. There are rumors and whisperings about Maligula. Now everybody thinks that she is back. When Razputin enters the nerve center, Sasha stops him and invites him for a talk in the collective unconscious, with a place from which you can revisit missions. Agent Nein is upset about Razputin's actions, but he also wants to help. So to prevent him from the same mistakes in the future, he gives smelling salts to leave the mind before Raz comes to the point of no return. After the conversation, I found the office of Truman Zanotto with Lili standing beside him. Lili is trying to help her father, gathering his peers around, vegetables, but even they cannot help. Good luck for us to become a new boss of the Psychonauts. Bad luck for Lili, as she loves her father, so becoming the next boss will wait. Razputin is concerned about Lili, and he shows her the note.
Look, I know I talk smack about the Psychonauts and say they aren't what they used to be. And I know I'm a terrible daughter and a disappointment to my father, okay? But, oh, never mind!
She says calmly and runs away. Suddenly, her father wakes up and talks to Raz. And of course, Razputin wants to inform everybody, but Truman stops him because there is a spy among them. Everybody is kinda sus. He asks Razputin to find and bring back Fort Cruller because he is the only person who can help. From the first game, we know that Fort Cruller is obsessed with bacon. The only place to get it is from a pig, and then from the canteen. And you know about that because you are smart, love you. But I wasted some time because I had used clairvoyance at one agent once and figured out that he likes bacon too. So I tried to get answers from him without a result. But then I turned around and saw the shop counter. Raz gets the bacon and calls Fort Cruller. Fortunately, Mr. Cruller is a human parasite who lives in the brain of Raz. Just kidding, in fact, he can teleport. So he immediately shows up from the ear. As you remember, and you do, because you also have a great memory and you watched my last video. Fort is slightly insane and not functioning 100%. Raz has to change that and opens the door into Fort's mind. Inside, he is at the fireplace and there are 6 stumps of the great Psychonauts. However, there is one more stump which belongs to Lucretia Max. Near the fireplace, Raz also sees a note from Otto Mentalis which says that Lucretia wanted to join the Psychonauts and leave her country Grulovia, where her husband had been killed in the war. Otto wanted to hire her because she was an unbelievable special psychic who could control water. So originally there was Psychic 7. Reading that, Raz gets deeper into the mind and appears on the small island surrounded by fragments, even shrapnel, like after an explosion. That's what happened with Fort's psyche after the fight with Maligula. Fort doesn't seem to be happy to let Raz deeper and doesn't want any help as he tried to fix it himself for many years. Fort extracts Raz from his mind and disappears. Turns out the old man took a part-time job in the Motherlow, in the bowling, in the barber shop and in the mailroom at the same time because again he can teleport. As you understand, the mind of Fort was split and now he is living out his past again and again. Raz needs to visit all 3 conditions and put his mentor back together. At first I came to Fort's barber shop to save him from his lies in the attic. The world is a combination of hair, barber's equipment and a big lighthouse with Fort's head on top of it. From this world, Razputin finds out about Maligula, who was active during wartime in Grulovia. She was so powerful that she could wash out the streets from these pesky lies, which are called protesters by Fort Cruller. In this world, Agent Cruller keeps calling Raz Lucy, saying that she has become somebody hidden deep inside her. Raz gets inside the lighthouse and finds a brain hid by a piece of glass. He pulls it out and recovers a part of Cruller's memory. Fort starts talking about events of the old past. Back then, Lucretia went back to Grulovia, where the war happened. She lost her husband once and couldn't let it happen again with her family and country. During the war, something changed her. Her inner darkness was released and Lucretia became a completely new person. Razputin takes a piece of glass and puts it in a broken mirror. Shard by shard, he will be able to fully restore broken memory. After that, he returns to the real world. I decided to take a break from visiting heads and walk around the Motherlobe as Truman Zanotto permitted me to leave the HQ.
Don't skip it, it's important for the plot. I'm not kidding.
In the lobby, Razputin meets his dad. Have you ever gone bright red with shame because of your family who talk strange things and do weird stuff in front of you and your friends? That's exactly what Raz feels right now because all his family came to visit their psychic member. They start to perform circus tricks and break the bones of Razputin because they can. Hollis isn't being happy to see gypsies on her landing pad. Donatella, a mother of Raz, argues with Hollis but agrees to leave the place. By the way, now, in the HQ, every agent knows that Razputin's family is from Grulovia too, because they are gypsies, and everybody thinks that Raz is the mole. I spent hours minding my own business, searching for secrets, talking with classmates and Razputin's sisters, brothers, grandmother Nona, and father Augustus Aquata. Many hours later, without even knowing it, I visited the lab of Otto Mentalis and found the brains of dead people kept in a huge reservoir, kept for experiments and relieving stress, I suppose. Look at them, look like fish. The computer allowed me to take one of the brains, and of course I took it, out of curiosity. Razputin also said that it might be useful for Nick Johnsmith, as he didn't have a brain. Yeah, sure, I forgot about that. And the next moment he uses the mental door to check what kind of personality is hidden deep there. Turns out this personality, or a ball of light, doesn't remember his previous life. He doesn't remember anything actually, but is ready to cooperate. Now we are talking. I visit the mailroom to enter another Force personality, but he is closed inside and allows to enter only senior staff. There is nobody around who can help me. nobody, except for Nick Jonesmith, but he is brainless, I mean was, so that's where my curiosity helped me. When Nick got his head pimped with the brain, he starts to see new colors like in an endless LSD trip. The brain inside wants to live, touch, lick, feel alive again, and Razputin knows the way how to make it work. Guys with epilepsy, be careful, this world is something else. Inside the brain, the person experiences a sensory overload and eventually has a panic attack. It creates one of the worst enemies in the game. Stopping the shock, the ball of light is calmed down and entered the nothingness. There are remains of memories and a heartbeat. The heartbeat turns out to be the door behind which a person named Vision is waiting. The Vision calls ball of light the Psyche. The Vision takes him and goes away. Razputin goes after them and finds himself inside the memory vault. The Vision, voiced by Cruller, is telling about the concert that is going on. However, all band members are missing, and Razputin is getting the trip to find all of them. This world was so difficult to stand. I had many tries to manage it. To be honest, I've never tried the hard drugs and don't recommend you to, but anyway, because of this game I had an overdose. Razputin finds two first band members, Sniffles and Tasty, and Psy King gets a new appearance, some Resident Evil vibes. The next ones are Dr. Touch and ODO. As you understand, those members are 5 physical senses that most people have. Every new sense causes a burst of feelings, leading Psy King to a panic attack. This is a problem, of course, but Raz is ready to do anything to become a full-time Psychonaut. When the band is pulled together, it's about time to start the concert and arouse all feelings and fix the brain. At this point, I realize that I'm happy to play this game because of this. Psy King starts to sing with Jack Black's voice and transforms into Helmut Fullbear, one of Psychic Six who is believed to be dead for 20 years. The brain that is in Nick now is Helmut Fullbear's. He is singing about the last moments he had and the healing his friends granted during his life. Helmut starts to remember the reason of his mission, Maligula. The memory of it ruins the party and tries to convince Helmut that his friends abandoned him and left him to die. Helmut cannot stand it anymore and closes his consciousness in the memory vault again. Razputin and the ball of light are at nothingness. Helmut starts seeing visions of the past, how all his friends had sacrificed everything they had, not only to stop Maligula, but also save their dearest friend, Fullbear. Only one problem happened. As Maligula could control water, she used it against Bob Zanotto, another professional Psychonaut. Fullbear tried to protect his friend with his body and fell into the lake. Then the device of Otto Mentalis was activated by an accident and froze the water. That's why Helmut got frozen somewhere in the lake, where nobody could find his body since, no matter how hard they tried. However, before his very death, Helmut managed to use sneezing powder to shoot out his brain. Ford found the brain and tried to figure out what happened back there, using a device called the Astrolabe to dive into the brain. But he failed and split his personality apart, unable to think straight, causing memory loss. That's the reason why everybody forgot about the brain. And later the absence of thinking caused the brain to atrophy, and the mind fell into the darkness. But now it's turned back to the light. After the story, Helmut gets his real memories back, and all Psychic Six attempt to eliminate the fear of Maligula. When it's done and the party is finished, Razputin and Nick Jonesmith are asking Cruller to open the door in the mailroom. Before entering there, Helmut Fullbear stops Razputin to tell nobody about him, because first he needs to face Bob Zanotto, an uncle of Truman Zanotto. Due to, you see, Helmut and Bob were in rather close relationships. They were more than friends, they were lovers, husbands. And if Razputin reveals it now, it will be a shock for everybody. First, his colleagues and friends need to be prepared. Raz gets that and steps inside the office. He sees Ford, who seems to get into a role. Now he is the mailman. His mail is momentous. He is ready to sort all the mail out, as well as Raz, who jumps into Ford's brain to sort his memories out too. Inside the mail hell, Raz finds a letter from Ford to Lucretia. He unfolds the matter of the relationship between them. They were in love those days. However, Lucretia had to leave him for her country. When she got there, she managed to stop the war, yet people were distressed. They continued to stay in touch, even though letters of Lucy were more and more unsettling. After all, Ford's last letter was sent back, as the country Grulovia stopped existing. Ford was devastated. Yet the last straw was the reply he got some time later from Maligula, who said Lucy is dead and she is never coming back. After putting away a piece of mirror from Ford's brain, he recalled that somebody pushed on Lucy and she went too far. The personality of mailman Ford is cured, and there is the last memory gap. The personality echoed in Ford's psyche, bowling lover Ford. The trouble is that only members of the senior league are allowed to enter the bowling room, and Razputin is definitely not the one. However, there is one person who might help, as he is a senior league player. Compton Bull, the grandfather of Sam Bull and Dogen Bull. Yep, they are relatives and all of them have zoolingualism abilities too. Compton, as well as Dogen, has a problem. They both can hear the voices of animals around against their will. However, Compton might be too overwhelmed by them and might accidentally explode anybody's head, as he did it once. After that, he became highly unstable and insecure, but managed to find friends among the Psychonauts. Especially he got along well with another Psychonaut, Cassiopeia. Nowadays, Compton turned into a fragile old man who is afraid to leave his shelter. He became like this after the battle against Maligula, when he summoned animals for help. But Maligula killed every creature which came to the call. Voices and screams were becoming louder from day to day. His anxiety grew even faster when Cassiopeia stopped working with him and left to the forest to conduct her own project. Compton decided to prevent himself from being too overwhelmed and exploding heads, and closed himself in a special self-built prison. The Psychonauts won the battle, but the price of victory is questionable. Compton is too unconfident to give away the membership card, and Razputin understands that he can kill two mental disorders with one psyblast. And Raz helped Compton to cook dinner for judges, who marked his meals surprisingly acceptable, eventually curing his anxiety, making him stable and confident. And now Raz has the card. He goes to the bowling room, plays it there.
Nice spare! Nice car.
That was cool.
And jumps as fast as he can to another identity of Ford. Doing so opens the whole new germ world, where the streets are extended gutters, and the gutters are full of germs. The accumulated filth foams up around germ people's waists, and all the goons and builders will look up and shout, "Save us!" And Razputin will whisper,
If you're still with me, you deserve this.
This part of Ford's mind represents the moment when Ford introduced Lucy to his favorite hobby, bowling. That's where they found their common ground. Later, Ford wants to reveal some secrets of Razputin's life. Mr. Cruller throws him to the grave, where he confesses that he couldn't kill Maligula. Instead, he hid her from the world. Ford used the technology of Automentalis, the astrolabe. The device had many functions. It was also used by the Psychonauts to discover deep hidden psychic abilities in the lower brain. Ford used the machine to create an alter ego of Maligula, Nona Aquato.
No!
Then he hid her among Razputin's family. Nobody noticed the replacement because of two things. First, Ford used his powers to replace memories of Augustus Aquata. He always thought Maligula was his real mother. Second, Razputin couldn't figure anything out just because Maligula had a sister. Everybody thought that Nona is this sister who survived the war in Grulovia, but it wasn't true. Do you understand? Razputin is mad to hear it, however, he cannot tell it to his family. There is a risk that the dark spirit of Maligula inside Nona might be reawakened again in case of danger. Ford is sorry for the mistakes he made because of love. He is convinced that he created Maligula because the astrolabe was used on her and she discovered full powers. Keep in mind, he kept that secret from everybody. He still does. Razputin and Ford are going to the Razputin's family to find Nona, but she is missing. Razputin tells that at night she likes walking around, and Ford explains that Lucy used to visit Green Needle Gulch at night, the place where the Psychic Seven was created, where they had their own place for rest and experiments on their abilities. In other words, a free scientific hub. It's hidden in the forest and only Psychic 7 members can find it, so does Lucy. They find Nona walking around. Unintentionally, her memories were coming back in this place, and Ford thinks they have to hurry and prepare the astrolabe for an operation. The device seems to be inactive because of a living vine and bees protecting the place. Both obstacles can be removed by the last two Psychonauts we haven't been introduced yet, Bob Zanotta and Cassiopeia. Bob Zanotto, surprise surprise, is living near the astrolabe, and he hasn't left the place for many years. As his mother once, he started to abuse alcohol after the death of his husband, Helmut Fulbear, and committed to looking after the plants. As he is a herbaphony user who can control plants, he seems to lose any point of living and went to pot. It made the situation even worse when Bob refused any help from professionals to treat his mental problems and became reckless on missions. It resulted in firing him from the Psychonauts by Truman Zanotto, his nephew. He couldn't accept it and pushed away the whole world. Now Bob is out living the happiest moments of his life inside his mind again and again, and stays in these conditions for years, drunk and miserable, closed inside his cocoon. Razputin is showing him that there is no point to feel aggrieved with everybody. After all, it leads to nothing. Bob has always been needed, especially now when Maligula is going back and Helmut is found alive, though changed a little. After the treatment, Bob removed vines from the astrolabe and met Nick Fulbear, John Smith. They are happy to see each other, as Bob loved Helmut not only because of his appearance, but because he was the only person Bob could feel comfortable with. Happy end. Now the second obstacle is the bees. According to Compton, Cassiopeia used to work with them a lot, so maybe she is somewhere around here. And voila, the smell of diabetes and honey leads to her observation tower. Forget what I said, it's a hive out there, and Cassiopeia seems to level up and became a walking sweet disaster.
Shh, they'll hear you.
She thinks that bees keep her imprisoned. Well, that's our client. Another mental disease Razputin must cure. You know, now I'm something of a psychotherapist myself. She became mentally unstable because she felt useless after the war against Maligula. She tried to keep in touch with Compton, but after all she failed to control her emotions and went to the Green Needle Gulch to study bees. Little she knew that Compton needed her.
Remember, there is always somebody that needs you and wants you. Bill collectors, for example.
Working alone slowly shifted her mental stability, and she started to create different personas from her past and eventually lost the connections with reality, thinking that she is imprisoned. Well, she is, but by herself. Of course, I must say she did try to keep in touch with Bob, but he was always busy being drunk and depressed. This place reminds the asylum from the first game, but here we can see that even professional psychonauts can lose their minds without help and being alone all the time. There is nothing really important for the plot to say about Cassiopeia, but she has a fascinating mind, and she is very creative and well-read. Also here I found a way to get unlimited currency in the game. Ask in the comments if you need it. Behavior of Cassiopeia is fixed and bees are dismissed. The astrolabe is free to use. Ford enters the shack followed by Otto, Cassie, Compton, Bob and Helmut. The Psychic Six has gathered again. Bob is happy to see the old team too and says it.
I'm happy to see all of you again.
But everybody is silent. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the friendship. Everybody is shocked to see Helmut alive. The last member of Psychic 7, Lucy, enters the place. She remembers that they used to have a good time here, and that phrase makes it obvious for all psychics that the Grand Moff Raz is Lucy. Bob cannot hold emotions and hugs her. Others do the same and seem to remember for a moment the good old days when they were young and untroubled, when everything was like a dream. Razputin sheds a tear by the look, or maybe its ninjas are cutting onion on the edge somewhere. The cameraman teleports to the edge nearby, behind not the ninja but Norma, who is sneaking and looking at the shack. The cameraman teleports back and we see that Lucy is ready to participate in the experiment of Ford. He wants to return real Lucy and destroy Maligula once and for all. Sounds totally safe. As Mr. Pokilov once said,
everything's gonna be alright.
The Psychic Six, along with Raz, sit around the astrolabe to adjust the device and enter Nona's mind. Being inside, Razputin sees a circus with Nona surrounded by Flea, Augusta's family. Ford built the illusion that she is the Aquata's grandmother. Despite that, she still cares for them and tries to protect, especially from water, because Ford also created the illusion of the curse on their family, that once all of them will die in water, that's why the family stays away from it. Nona has one more secret to show and jumps into the teacup. Raz repeats that.
What am I doing?
Nona reveals that she gave an invitation to Raz to the Rock Psychic Summer Camp, not Mr. Oleander, as Raz used to think. She sensed that her life was off. She was too confused and sad sometimes. That's when Lucy inside her felt psychic abilities of Raz and gave him the pamphlet to help herself in the future.
Wow.
Revealing that secret helped to open a blocked part of her mind where Maligula was exiled behind the dam of mental baggage. If you remember, every person has negative feelings kept in the baggage. But look at that. Nona has tons to carry. Razputin must prepare Nona's mind for the fight with Maligula. To do that, he needs to be very careful to keep Nona safe from panic attacks, censors and heavy weight of the past. In other words, from enemies. Otherwise, Maligula will be stronger. Razputin comes closer and sees the locket that is opened itself. There are two pictures of Lucretia Max and her sister, Marona, who was a leader of opposition in Grulovia. Back then, Maligula was summoned by the king of Grulovia. She was considered to be a war minister and the strongest power there, so she was given the command to break up the riots, and she decided to trigger rain to stop them. It didn't work out though, and she was pouring more and more water. A high level of water pressure caused the breakage of the dam over the capital city, and eventually the streets with people on them were flooded. Maligula was shocked by her actions. She actually didn't mean to, but when she saw her drowned sister, she outburst anger and couldn't stop it. That's how she accidentally became a supervillain. Nona, looking at the picture, started to ask questions about what happened with Marona. At the same time, the Psychonauts activated the astrolabe to destroy the dam and release Maligula. Fort and Razputin prepared for the fight when suddenly somebody pulled Razputin out of Lucy's mind. As 20 years ago, Fort is left alone again. And we see Mila, Sasha, Hollis and Yoda, who felt a great disturbance in the Force. I'm such a nerd. While all the Psychonauts are maintaining the astrolabe, Razputin's projection is flying back to his body. It's Truman Zanotto who pulled him out. Razputin is shocked because Truman abrupted the mission. He says that Razputin was in distress, so he saved him. He also tries to stop the astrolabe, but he cannot. Suddenly Norma shows up and thinks that Razputin tries to resurrect his girlfriend, Maligula. Lili appears behind her back and tells that she is Razputin's girlfriend. Lili was following Truman and he was acting weird. Raz and Lili agree to enter his mind and find out what is going on. And Norma still doesn't give Rasputin's clue. Raz and his factual girlfriend are inside Truman's head. They see a big Truman's portrait sculpture. Different types of clothes, wigs and fake beards. Even the notes of what to think and who to love, with sentences like "I am Truman" repeated many times. Looks like he is trying to play a role. Lili is confused as she is sure her dad has never been so vain. Behind the sculpture, Razputin sees the cracks. He breaks it and sees a golden sculpture of Nick John Smith. Additionally, Lili claims that her father was the only person who disliked Nick, so seeing this is a total nonsense. Now she's sure it's not her father. The next second she says that a huge vacuum cleaner sucks them up. They find themselves on the red carpet with Nick John Smith on it. His servant announces Nick's real title: Tsarevich Gristal Malik, future Tsar of Grulovia.
What is a Tsarevich?
It's a made-up word by the developers, however there is a Slavic title, Tsarevich, which means the same. He's the Tsar's or king's son, who might be nominated for the throne. Razputin seems to know Gristal Malik, the son of Tsar whose family was in exile after the Maligula accident. Malik takes a ride in an unknown direction. Kids are trying to follow him, but the peasant stops them because the kids haven't reached the right age and height. Well, it can be fixed.
Okay, we're older. Check us now.
Oh man, how long have I had this job?
Razputin sits in the cart, yet Lili is not allowed to, as she isn't Grulovian. But anyway, she has a plan while Raz is moving on. Razputin rides through the tunnel of royal family's fame. Children are singing about the might of the country, where every countryman is happy. Razputin sees the royal family themselves, with fancy crowns made of jeweled eggs. And the voice of Grulovia tells exactly what happened between Fort and Maligula many years ago. From its point of view, Grulovia was heaven on earth, with the Minister of War Maligula helping the royal family. She had aroused the jealousy of the warmongering Fort Cruller, who summoned his mob of Psychonauts to put down Maligula and caused great damages drowning Grulovia. The voice keeps saying that the Tsar actually betrayed Grulovia, Maligula and their country. Keep in mind, the voice explains Gristal's point of view. Razputin's ride is over because the door is closed and Lili, who knocked out the peasant, is controlling the whole Disneyland now. She tries to fix it, but instead causes waves of enemies by mistake, commenting on everything. Damn, in this game she's so loud and noisy I start to hate her. Razputin finds the memory vault where Gristal Malik is shown as a small, spoiled boy who had unlimited power. From his point of view, the country was flourishing, but in fact only his family was. In truth, the country was controlled by a brutal dictator. That's why people started riots, which Gristel and his father didn't care about. Gristel found people's problems pointless because he didn't have any, but his father found the solution. He gave a command to break up a rally. Maligula took it too far. The Tsar realized his mistake and gave an order to execute Maligula too, as well as people. The executioner was found drowned later in the swimming pool of the Tsar, who was trying to swim in a time of the civil war. Seeing that, he was scared and fled the country with his family. Next, the royal family is shown into exile. Eventually, the Tsar was going to die on his deathbed. He told Gristel that Maligula was alive but captured by the Psychonauts. Gristel Malik couldn't help blaming his father for taking away an opportunity of becoming the next Tsar. He blamed everybody around. After the death of his father, he moved to the Lady Octopus Casino suite and made up his revenge plan from there. He wanted to save Maligula to become the Tsar of Grulovia, the Tsar of Ruins. He infiltrated into the Psychonauts and got the job there. The plan to replace Truman's brain with his own was good, but he couldn't do it alone, so he hired Dr. Loboto, who was glad to help. Loboto wasn't stupid though, and closed the brain of Truman in the metal box, which was always nearby. As you see, all this time the mole was Nick Malik John Smith. Razputin dives into Gristel's subconsciousness and tries to convince him to stop the tyranny forever by taking a look at his past from another angle, the angle of oppressed people. But Gristel just cannot believe it, as he didn't see any tyranny. Yet for him, his father wasn't cruel enough. Razputin and Lili knock out Gristel from inside and get back to their bodies. Now they know the truth and can save Truman. Razputin and Lili leave the place to find the brain, while other agents arrive at the shack. At the very same moment, Fort Cruller comes back to his body and warns everybody to run as fast as they can, because Maligula is back. But it's too late. She is sucking into water spout every Psychonauts and Gristel without distinction. Razputin is far away from the place. Hearing noises, he turns around, witnessing the power of Maligula. He definitely needs some help. While Lili is looking for her father's brain, Razputin summons the family to create a sling out of his family. That's dumb. The father is afraid at first because it's water and the cursed thing, you know, but Razputin explains that it's a lie created by Ford. The family agrees to risk their own son and throw him at the swirl. Razputin gets inside Nona's head and finds himself in drowned Grulovia. Maligula isn't happy to see unwanted guests there and sends her water serpents to stop the boy. However, he isn't alone this time. Sam helps him and sends serpents back, summoning the whale instead. I don't know why, maybe just to show off. Maligula is furious and attacks Razputin in person. Classmates are trying to help, but it doesn't make much difference to her. In one of the stages, Nona appears from the water spout, warning Raz to stay away from the water. Norma helps with it. Give me back my cloak! Nona tries to tell something again, but Maligula stops her. It doesn't help though, but kids do. They weaken Maligula, and she falls in the water. There, she sees her drowned sister, yet she doesn't blame herself for that. At first, she blames her sister's husband, who brought her to the riots. But then, Nona changes Maligula's mind. Maligula agrees, seeing no issue with that. She killed many people, so what? She is becoming angry and more powerful, increasing herself in size. Nona doesn't want to stand aside and gives her might to Raz, making him bigger too. Not big enough though, as in the first game, Razputin becomes Gogolor, or Radzilla again. The developers are definitely obsessed with gigantism, and I like it. Razputin fights with his relative, punching her in the face, spitting fire at her, making her weaker and weaker. The last uppercut sends her to the void.
Fatality.
Nona and Razputin hug each other and wake up in the water outside the shack in the world without Maligula. Lili shows up holding the box with Truman's brain. Everything is safe and sound now. The Psychonauts are gathered around the table while Mr. Oleander is complaining about why Nona doesn't get any punishment. Everybody stares at him, remembering everything he had done, and he goes silent. Hollis takes the Psychonaut badges and goes to her class. There, the classmates are waiting for the promotion. They graduated from the interns and became junior agents. Still, after everything Razputin had done, he got a junior agent. Well, that's life. If you wonder what happened after the credits, here you are. Helmut Fulbert's brain is in the water tank, and Bob Zanotto will try to give a 1000th chance to find Helmut's body. Dr. Loboto escaped from Sasha's lab, and according to his words, he has been changed. Also, he left his kid in the summer camp. Godspeed, nice crazy bastard. Mila and Sasha are enjoying themselves in the bowling room and really appreciate the work Razputin had performed. Razputin is happy. Cassie and Compton are nowhere to be found, Mr. Oleander is a fish, Hollis is taking a tropical vacation and finally is going to have a holiday after many years of hard work. Lili and her father Truman are happy to be a family again, but this time genuinely showing their feelings and learning to understand one another. Crystal is closed in the chamber for future experiments of Sasha. The family of Razputin is happy to get rid of their curse and they will perform even more dangerous tricks with water. Luckily, they opened their new circus near the mother lobe. Rasputin's father Augustus is managing with acceptance of the facts he found out about his real mother. Nonetheless, Lucy is his family and he loves her no matter what had happened. Thanks to Hollis, Augustus and siblings of Raz are going to take the educational courses of the psychic abilities to prevent the world from collapsing. Ford and Lucy are going back to the summer camp to look after the children. And Norma is still at big.
Congratulations, you made it so far. Are you crazy? I'm kidding, thanks a lot. This game is finished and I realized how good the first game was too. Every character and camper were vibrant, were alive, everything was tightly arranged, but here... well, you decide and share it in the comments. See you in the next video. Bye bye.